Well, thank you very much for attending tonight, Beat Cancer Answers. And tonight we have a very special guest. Her name is Kathryn White. She is the owner of Kathryn White Wellness. The primary service that Kathryn provides is her Thrive with Cancer 3-month program. She provides a personalized whole coaching program designed to support people living with cancer and healing from cancer. In 2015, Kathryn was diagnosed actually with stage 4 colon cancer, and she spent all of 2015 undergoing surgeries and chemotherapy. After ringing the bell, Kathryn was told to go back to living her life, but she knew her life would never be the same, and that it was time for change. She left her job as an elementary school teacher to heal herself. That is when she decided she also wanted to help others with cancer prevention and overall healthy lifestyle changes. Kathryn is deeply passionate about health and wellness. The successful completion of a culinary nutrition certificate led Kathryn to launch her own business, running workshops and personalized nutrition coaching for people wanting to change their own lives and prevent cancer. The next step in her road to health and healing was to become a 500-hour registered yoga teacher, which I know she has done, with a focus on trauma-informed yoga, restorative yoga, and meditation. Kathryn became a certified holistic cancer coach with BeatCancer.Org, and she has launched a successful coaching business, as well as the teaching yoga for cancer survivors. In her off time, Kathryn enjoys hiking, camping, and spending time with her husband, John, and her 2 adult children, Jackson and Joshua. From St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada, Kathryn is an inspiration and a mentor for me in my own hometown. She is a friend and someone that I will truly admire forever. Please welcome Kathryn White.
Thank you, Kathryn. Kathryn to Kathryn. That was wonderful. Thanks. I appreciate that. And yes, we are indeed in the same town, which is so exciting because I don't feel like there's a whole lot of cancer coaches in the world. I'm starting to find them, and to find one just around the corner was absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm here tonight to talk about the role of food in relation to supporting the body during cancer. And I thought that rather than taking the traditional role of talking about the food groups and how we can incorporate the food groups into healthy living, I would turn it around a little bit and instead talk about aspects of cancer where food can play a key role. So I'm just going to take some time to address immune system support, treatment, and post-cancer, because those seem to be 3 big areas that in my coaching business people are asking for assistance in. So starting with the immune system, supporting the immune system is such a critical part of navigating cancer. Oftentimes, getting better is left to the belief that the medicine is going to do the work, but what I think is that believing that it's just the role of the medicine creates this disconnect between the patient and their body. And that thought can turn into this belief that you don't have any control over your outcome, which is so not true. We have a tremendous amount of control over our outcome. We just have to know what it is that we need to know in order to make that a possibility. So that whole turning everything over to medicine, and I'm not saying that medicine isn't good. I completely believe in conventional and non-traditional medicine as part of the healing process, but with food as the foundation. And if we don't believe in that, I think that it can be very disempowering for a cancer patient to live in this belief that they have no role. Our bodies want to heal, and we need to give them what they need to heal. And for me, I really truly believe that food is at the foundation of that. So with a little bit of education and the support of a cancer coach, patients can learn what to eat and what not to eat to support themselves. And the what not to eat is actually really really important because there's so much misinformation about food out there. So we'll talk about that in a moment. The medicine is going to do its part. Again, whichever form of healing you choose to pursue, the medicine will do its part. But it is your body needing you to take some responsibility to bring in healthful habits and foods that are going to boost the immune system, support cellular health, and then help you as the cancer patient to be a key part of your healing process. So what can you do? When I talk with my clients about what they can do, I try to make them understand or guide them to the belief that they need to be looking at healthy lifestyle changes. And in this case, we're talking about food in the terms of adding things in rather than denying yourself, because we don't want to create this mindset around I can't have, but instead create this mindset around what can I have. And just that little switch in the language can really make a huge difference in terms of the patient believing in themselves and their possibility. So having said all of that, there are some things that do need to be taken out of the diet so that you can live a healthful experience even while you're living with cancer. So I'm sure that all of my colleagues would agree that sugar is at the top of the list. Processed refined sugars, including brown sugar and high fructose corn syrup, are not immunosupportive. So as we start diving into the immune system, it's really important to understand that sugar is not going to help to build up the immune system. Sugar creates an inflammatory response in the body. Cancer is an inflammatory disease, and so we want to be doing everything we can to reduce inflammation, and that starts with cutting out refined sugars. So if you enjoy baking, if you like your little bit of a sweet treat, I personally, again, I don't like to deny my clients things. I like them to have the opportunity to have something that they enjoy that's not going to build anxiety or any kind of traumatic response around food, because particularly, well, for me, with colon cancer, food can be very triggering because of it being a bowel disease, a digestive system disease. So instead of being the denier of things that bring you joy, I like to invite my clients to make some substitutions. So in most baked goods, you can reduce the amount of sugar by half and then replace it with maple syrup or with honey or coconut syrup or coconut sugar. Add a little bit of pure vanilla extract. We want to make sure it's pure because we don't want the additives from any chemical processing, and then use that as the sweetener instead of adding in white sugar or brown sugar or corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. And in addition to that, in just using sugars in general, it's so easy to substitute with dates. You can put dates in smoothies. You can put dates in brownies. I mentioned coconut sugar. Blackstrap molasses is a good quality molasses that you can use. And again, honey and maple syrup. They're just healthier choices for your body because they haven't been processed. They don't have additives or preservatives in them, just making sure that you're sourcing from places that aren't in a chemical processing system where sometimes they sneak things in there. We want it to be very pure. And our bodies know how to process things that come from nature. So when it's close to the ground, our digestive system and our liver know what to do with it. But when it starts to have chemicals and additives in it, our body doesn't know what to do with that. It's smart, it's very smart, and it will make things move along. But on a more cellular level, it just doesn't understand what to do with things that aren't on a natural level. So we want to be very mindful of keeping any sugars that we have as close to the ground, as close to natural as possible. The next piece that I talk with clients about that is a very important piece is fats and oils. And they tend to get a bad rap. So it's just really important that we establish like this distinction between fats and oils that are good for you and that aren't good for you, and not vilify all fats and oils. Some are bad. We'll talk about that in a second, but there's a lot that are really, really good. And the types of fats and oils, again, is what is the problem. So we need to know the difference between the ones we can be having and the ones that we shouldn't be having. in our society, we consume a tremendous amount of oils that are hydrogenated and trans fat. And that hydrogenated oil, it's breaking up the molecular chain, the natural molecular chain, and injecting that extra molecule in there that, again, our body doesn't know what to do with it. It's to make things shelf stable so that more can be sold and people will eat it. But the problem is that it's making us sick. And so if we're already living in a state of dis-ease in the body, we don't want to be adding more things that are dis-ease building. So things like vegetable oil, canola oil, peanut oil, and margarine fall into this category. And I tell my clients that I never ask people to throw out food because I understand that food is expensive and we don't want to be wasteful. So I do typically say, you know, if you can just get rid of those products, that's a really great idea, or finish them off and then replace them with the healthier choices. But we definitely want to be, again, eating things that aren't highly sprayed, like canola oil can be a very highly sprayed crop. We want to be eating oils that are natural oils, that they're not processed or refined oils. And things that are going to, again, support our health. So fats support our health in that they're a great source of energy, and we know that when people have cancer, fatigue is one of those things that can set in, fatigue on a deep level. So anything that we can do to bolster the body, to provide support, is in the patient's best interest, and healthy fats are a good source of energy. They also insulate against the cold, and so we see in people with cancer, you know, weight loss, and atrophy in muscles sometimes. And so we want to be giving our clients anything that we can that is going to help them to have the energy inside of themselves and to have this heat inside of themselves that's going to allow them to feel strong and keep moving forward. Fats also help to form our cell membranes. And we are in a constant state of turning ourselves over, and obviously we want to be having healthy cells. So in building healthy cells, we want to have healthy fats that are going to make those cells nice and strong and help them to hopefully reproduce in a healthy way. We want fats because they help us to absorb vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. And we'll talk about phytonutrients, plant nutrients in a moment, but these vitamins need to be in our bodies. We're like a periodic table in a way. And all of these minerals and vitamins that we need are purposefully replacing the ones that we're using. So that's why, again, eating close to the ground as natural as possible and eating healthy things like these healthy fats are going to help support nutrients in our body. Fats also protect our nervous system, and we hear about neuropathy, we hear about nerve damage through surgeries. So anything that we can do to support our brains, where neural pathways sometimes get interrupted by chemicals, where things have been manipulated in our body, we want to try to support that nervous system, but also the calming, regulating part of our nervous system, bringing down our stress by just having foods that are anti-stress supportive, which is a whole other conversation in itself. And then again, we want these fats because they can help to reduce inflammation. So as a general rule, processed foods and fast foods are not health supportive. They contain unhealthy and high levels of fats that are generally nutrient depleted during the processing. So if something says that it has like vitamin C added, well, it's because they've taken the vitamin C out in the processing process and they're adding it back in, and it's typically not added in its purest, most natural form. It tends to be added in a chemical form, which as cancer patients, we don't want to be putting more chemicals in our bodies. So if you can get it, again, in a whole food close to the ground, that's the better way to get it. And that's exactly why cooking at home is better for you, because you can look at these ingredients, like I talked about the sugar substitutions, and you can control what you're putting in your body. And we know that cancer can really disempower and take control away from people. So every little piece that you can feel confident in and feel like you're taking back some control is just that much more supportive of your overall healing process. And food is such an easy place to start. And you can do that by cooking at home. So oils, back to fats and oils for a moment, that you can add in extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, butter, ghee, coconut oil, sesame oil, flaxseed oil, and ground flax seeds, which you should store in the fridge because they go rancid once they're ground, chia seeds and chia oil, hemp seeds and hemp oil, walnut oil, and the variety of nuts and seeds that are available to us are all really health-building fats. So it's important to get educated on your oils. As I said, some need to be stored in the fridge, and some need to be cooked at low temperature. We never want to cook olive oil on a high temperature. It disrupts the molecular chain, and it changes the chemical structure of the oil, and then that's a problem in our body. We want to be storing some, as I said, in the fridge, and some should never be heated at all. They should only be they should only be used raw, like a walnut oil. So it would be more of a drizzle on a salad, like as a salad dressing. And then when it comes to eating the refined sugars and the unhealthy fats, as we talked about, it's counterproductive to that goal of healing the body, getting rid of cancer, and never getting cancer again, which is ultimately everyone's goal. So this brings us to what can we do to support the immune system. So we talked about what we can get rid of, but what can we do to support the immune system? I've already alluded to it, and that is eat a plant-based diet. That doesn't mean don't eat meat. I believe that that's a very particular decision to each individual because cancer is individual to each person, and so what their needs are will be individual. And what you choose to decide, whatever you choose to decide, make it mostly plants. And if it is in a way where you're not eating meat, then it's important for you to work with someone who understands nutrition and how to bring in the vitamin B12 and the protein. There's protein in plants, but you want to be making sure that you're getting the right combinations of things so that you're supporting your body. So just something to consider when you're considering different types of diets that are out there. Really make sure that you're getting the plants that you need. So when we get our plants, we also want to be getting a variety of colors because each of those colors represents different types of nutrients. And as I mentioned, our body is like a periodic table. It needs all of these things coming into it to replace the things that we're burning off and that we're using. So these phytonutrients, these plant nutrients, are really, really important to our makeup and to our cellular healing and to our overall physical wellness. So plants are full of antioxidants, and antioxidants are substances that can protect your cells against free radicals that are sort of roaming around in your body and that can damage your cells. They also support your brain health, which we know can be a problem when we have cancer, brain fog or chemo brain, right? And we want to make sure that we are eating as much of that as possible to get the phytonutrients, but also to get the antioxidants. So we can get that from things like dark-colored berries, dark chocolate, spinach, raspberries. There's a whole long list of things that you can find that are good, supportive antioxidant foods. And you can eat these foods alone, or you can do things like mix them into a smoothie. Like the dark-colored berries, a little bit of dark chocolate, and spinach would make a perfect smoothie, actually. It would be quite delicious. And then we can pair them also with other immunosupportive foods so that we're just, again, really giving our immune system the best support that we can. The other piece about plants is that they contain fiber, and we need fiber to keep our digestive, our elimination system moving. It's really important that we are having movement, bowel movements regularly because we need to get the things out of our body that we don't want there. Post-treatment, you're going to want to be going to the bathroom, during treatment, you're going to be wanting to go to the bathroom, post-surgery, moving all of the things that are being put into your body out of your body as quickly as you can. And I know that I see people posting in a group that I belong to when they're talking about elimination and or lack of elimination, and it makes me a little bit crazy when I see people posting about drinking some of the shelf brand drinks for pardon the pun, boosting your body, and then some of the more pharmaceutical type products to make the bowels move. And that's not to say that they don't have a place, but there are things that we can do on a nutritional level that can be equally as good or at least supportive. So things like chia seeds. Chia seeds are going to bulk up, they become mucilaginous, and they can help to move things along in your body. Plus, they're also a source of protein. So we get nutrients out of them, and they can help support the digestive system. We want the fiber in plants because what it also does is slow down the passage of food. And so when we don't want things going right through our system, so when we have soluble and insoluble fiber, it provides that perfect combination of regulating our blood sugar, but also supporting the digestive system, which by slowing things down allows us to extract the nutrients into our body to support our immune system. Plants are absolutely perfect for supporting our health. As I mentioned, they help to support blood sugar. We want to have nice level blood sugar. We don't want to be eating foods that are causing spikes in our blood sugar. We want to be really kind to our pancreas and really kind to our liver and just allow the body to be in homeostasis, to be in a state of calm. And by regulating your blood sugar, you can support that. It also supports, as I mentioned, healthy digestion. But connected to the healthy digestion is building a healthy gut microbiome. And our gut microbiome is so critical to our overall well-being. Like our gut and our brain, there's a gut-brain connection. They're directly speaking to each other all of the time. So what happens in our belly impacts our brain, and the thoughts that we have in our brain impact our belly, impact our gut. So when we've had to be on antibiotics, chemotherapy, other medications, these things are going to break down the natural gut bacteria. Processed foods and fast foods will break down your natural gut bacteria. Too much sugar will build the bad bacteria, which will inevitably take over the good bacteria. And I think if more people understood that, there would be perhaps a little less dis-ease in people's bodies overall, because we really don't treat our gut with any sort of importance. It's starting to become more mainstream. People are starting to hear more about it. But when you're living in cancer, with cancer, it's really important to take care of that gut bacteria, because roughly 70% of your immune system is built in your gut. So that number alone tells us how important it is to be eating the right foods, to make sure that we're nurturing our microbiome so that we can take care of all of these pieces, including our immune system. And each plant is going to play a different role in that, which is why we need to eat a variety of plants every day. So when you are in treatment, we know that during treatment, eating can become an issue. Some people get very nauseated. Some people get sick to their stomach. Some people don't want to eat. You can lose taste. All of these pieces are part and parcel of treatment, but it doesn't have to be a problem. There are ways that you can eat in treatment that can be supportive of your body. So, like I said, nausea, weight loss or weight gain can be issues for people, loss of taste, the depleted immune system, depleted energy levels. These are things that are real issues for cancer patients. And so over-the-counter sports drinks and dietary supplement drinks, like I mentioned, are often recommended for people, and they're just full of things that our body doesn't need or want, and that we shouldn't be putting in it to build up our health. They're counterproductive. So I referenced smoothies earlier. Smoothies can be this magical food when you are going through a process that makes digestion difficult, or where you're just not feeling like eating a whole lot, or even if you have depleted energy. So nutrient smoothies are an excellent way to maximize nutrition. You can pack a whole lot of punch into one smoothie. And so I know that perhaps some people are thinking like, but I have a cold issue, like people who take oxaliplatin end up with problems with cold, but there are recipes for warm smoothies out there, and I share warm smoothie recipes with my clients because I know that cold can be a factor. So smoothies, like I mentioned, you could put in the dark berries, and you always want to have green. You want them to be heavy on the green. You can put in raw cacao nibs. You can put in maple syrup. You can put in flaxseed, chia seeds, hemp seeds. Like there's just so many good things, avocados that you can put in that will be health building and immunosupportive rather than health depleting like some of the things that are often recommended that come off of the shelves. So other things that you can use to support yourself if you are struggling with nausea, aloe vera juice. So aloe vera juice is very high in antioxidants, which we've already talked about, and it helps to, as I mentioned, reduce that cellular damage, that oxidative stress on your body, and it's a great source of vitamin C. So you can buy it in a liquid form, and you can even add that into your smoothie if you want to, or just take a couple of tablespoons of it just to find a little bit of ease for your digestive system. As much as it might sound counterintuitive, citrus fruits are actually a great way to help with nausea. Sour foods can help to keep nausea at bay, so a little bit of lemon in your water, or a little bit of lime, maybe a little bit of orange. Being mindful of the other things that are happening. If you have mouth sores or things like that, that might not feel so good, so you can go to the aloe, which is actually very soothing on mouth sores if you have them. We've all heard of ginger. It's an age-old remedy for fighting nausea. So you can put ginger in tea, ginger and orange, and a little bit of cinnamon in hot water can make a tea. You can put ginger into a smoothie. Like you can just chew on ginger candies, buy holistic ones that aren't full of sugar. But there's ways to get ginger into your body that doesn't require you to necessarily put it into a stir fry. You can just literally steep it in some hot water and just sip away on that. And peppermint is the same. Peppermint is really good for nausea. It's calming, and it has this numbing effect on your stomach muscles, which allows things to settle down a little bit. So you can even find some good quality, clean content peppermint candies and suck on those, which will also perhaps feel good on your mouth. And then there's the BRAT diet, which you may or may not have heard of, B-R-A-T. And this is something that's really good for people who have difficulty eating. I don't recommend it for a long-term diet. It should be just something short-term to sort of get you through a time when things are difficult. But it's bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. Bananas are a great source of fiber, and we've already talked about why we need to have some fiber in our body. They contain potassium, vitamin B6, vitamin C, some antioxidants, and the phytonutrients that we're looking for. Potassium helps with nerve conductivity, which we talked about can be a problem for people living with cancer. It also aids in synthesis of protein from amino acids, and so it can help with energy production. Again, we've talked about being tired when we have cancer. So a banana is, even a little bit of a banana is a great place to start. The vitamin B6 can help with energy. It also supports GABA production to help your nervous system. We're seeing a trend here with bananas. And then vitamin C as an immune booster and an antioxidant. And it also helps to detoxify toxins from the chemicals that we're having put into our bodies. So vitamin C is really going to help to boost your immune system, but also flush things along. And it helps with the production of collagen, which helps with wound healing. So if you've had any surgeries or any scars that are healing, this can help to move along that process. Rice is the second thing in our BRAT diet. I always recommend a whole grain brown rice, which is easily digested, or quinoa. And quinoa is very cool because it's actually a complete protein. It's one of the only plants that is a complete protein. So that's a great thing to put into recipes that you're making, or even just to eat on its own. You can make your own bone broth or a mushroom broth or a vegetable broth, and you can make your quinoa in that, so you get a little bit of extra nutrition if you're just eating the quinoa or the rice in its plain form. Applesauce is just easily digestible. It goes down well and should be eaten in the unsweetened form. And it has pectin in it, and pectin is good for moving things along. It is very helpful as it is a fiber that dissolves in water, and it can bulk up your stool. If you're having loose stools or diarrhea, pectin can help to bulk it all up, which may ease that process for you. And then toast, the tea in brat, is I recommend whole grain varieties of bread. Some people prefer to eat gluten-free, some people don't. That's personal choice. That's something that you need to decide. But if you're going to be having toast, the whole grain variety, because we want to get at least some nutrients out of this. Also, we want to get the fiber out of it, and white bread is just completely depleted from the overprocessing. If you're really in a bad place, I'd rather see you eat some toast if it has to be the white form than no toast at all, because we really want to keep that stomach in check, keep the nausea down so that you are conserving your energy and not being ill. We don't want you to be more sick than you already are. And then we move on to the post-cancer process, which is where everybody wants to be. Post-cancer, you want to be looking at what you are eating and the simple changes that you can start making to introduce whole foods and a plant-based style of eating. Some people can do it like cold turkey. I'm stopping everything and I'm now doing this. For other people, it's a process. It's integrating things into your diet as you remove other things like I talked about at the beginning. But what's really important post-cancer is making sure that you are eating that well-rounded diet, because you're still in the healing phase. There's still a lot of things going on in your body and in your brain and in your nervous system that are healing. So we want to give our bodies the best possible terrain in order for them to heal. So cutting out sodas, sugar, fast food, highly processed foods, and foods that are full of additives and preservatives are a must. We want to reduce that toxic load, get the chemicals out of our body and reduce our toxic load so that our liver can do what it needs to do, so that our blood is nice and clean and flowing freely, so that our organs are functioning optimally, and we're building up the nutrient levels in our bodies. So this is something that to consider. I've talked about smoothies already, but also introducing green juices. Having juicing as part of your routine is good in that you're going to get the nutrients out of all of the juices and from the vegetables and the fruit that you're putting in them. You're going to miss out on the fiber, but if you're having some digestive issues, then green juices are a great way to bring nutrition into your body. If you're able to get the smoothies in, as I've mentioned, they should be mostly green with a little bit of fruit. Plant-based milks are highly recommended. And then you can add adaptogens. So adaptogens are plants and mushrooms that help your body respond to stress, anxiety, fatigue, and improve your overall well-being. And so we know that stress, anxiety, and fatigue are a big part of living with cancer. So adaptogens are a great way to bring natural foods into your body that are going to support you in that way. So things like turmeric, which is an anti-inflammatory, moringa, maca is a great adaptogen because the maca root actually grows in a very stressful environment in Peru. And so because the plant is stressed, it allows, it's like the survival mechanism in the plant, and then it's transferred into your body as you eat it, and allows your body to be regulated by this root. It's all very cool. Plants and fruits and vegetables are very interesting. Licorice root is great for you, really good for your liver. Mushrooms, there's so many different types of mushrooms. Reishi mushrooms for calm, chaga for anti-inflammation. Turkey tail is cancer supportive for reducing cancer cells. Lion's mane is great for your brain. So there's all these different kinds of mushrooms that you can introduce into your diet in different ways, whether it's through eating them, making mushroom broth out of them, in tinctures. I personally use a 10 mushroom mix in my coffee every morning. Just gives me a little bit amp up in the morning to help support my body. And tulsi or holy basil and nettle. Nettle's really good for your liver also. So you can just steep nettle in some hot water and make a little tea out of it. And the other thing that I recommend is introducing fermented foods. So we talked about the gut bacteria, and fermented foods will really help the good gut bacteria to grow. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It can just be something like adding sauerkraut to, I like to add it to my breakfast, some sweet potato toast with a little bit of avocado, a pastured egg, and a little bit of sauerkraut on top. Kimchi, it's a Korean type of sauerkraut, for lack of a better word. It's a little bit more spicy, but spicy is not necessarily bad for you. That's a bit of a myth. Kimchi is great to add to Asian dishes, stir fries, and then kombucha. You can drink kombucha, and I would recommend that you look for one that has the minimal amount of sugar in it. There are some brands that are still a little bit high in sugar, so you want to watch that sugar content. They have to put sugar in it in order to make it fermented, but you want to be mindful that you're having as little sugar in that as possible. But the fermentation process in it is so good for your gut bacteria, where 70% of our immune system is made. And then we want to think about eating whole grains, again, to support the digestion. They help to build gut bacteria, and they help support elimination. And we need to drink more water. I think as a society, we don't drink enough water. And sometimes people are resistant to water because they don't like the flavor of it or the flavorlessness of it, because we're used to drinking sugary drinks. That's very common in our world, is to drink sugary drinks. So I recommend to my clients things like adding lemon, adding frozen berries, adding other fresh fruit, adding cucumber, adding, like, I have a powdered mix of celery and apple that I put into it that gives me a nutrition boost and also gets the water in me. There's so many things that you can do that doesn't have to be just plain water, that you can sort of amp up the natural healing properties of the water. But water, we need it in our body just to create that flushing and supporting of our organs and our brain and our hormones. The next thing is to learn how to cook. And I know not everybody knows how to cook as much anymore or likes to cook, but the thing about cooking is that people often think it's hard. And cooking doesn't have to be hard. It's about having basic ingredients, and it doesn't have to be expensive either. Frozen vegetables are equally as nutritious as fresh vegetables. And they're less expensive, and you can buy them in bulk, and you can have them in your freezer, and you just want to steam them instead of boiling them, because as soon as you boil them, you drain all the nutrients out of them. But they're processed right away, so they're still really nutrient dense. So have just some very simple basic ingredients. Find some simple recipes. There's great recipes out there that only have 5 ingredients in them, and just learn how to cook and build a desire within yourself to learn how to cook, knowing that that is the best choice for you when you're healing your body. And I mentioned at the beginning a little bit about food anxiety. So when you are cooking for yourself, you can manage what you're putting in and out of your body, and that can help to reduce the overwhelm of, should I have eaten that? What am I supposed to eat? And again, there's often not a lot of guidance out there about nutrition when it comes to cancer. I personally was told to eat whatever I wanted, which is why I got very curious about food and how I could use it to help me heal my body. And then, of course, there is always the ability to work with a cancer coach. Cancer coaches are trained in understanding the foundations of nutrition and how nutrition is important. And so a cancer coach can help to direct you to where you need to be, give you the support that you need, provide you with recipes, whatever their scope is. It's our passion to help people who are living with cancer to heal their bodies. And as I mentioned at the beginning, food is just such a critical part of it. So if not knowing what to eat or being afraid of food is a problem for you, get help right away. Don't leave food as the thing that you'll do later. Find a coach, Find someone who can help you to understand food so that you can build that foundation. When we build the foundation of food for health in our body, it supports our mental health. Our body is, body, mind, and spirit, with the body and the mind working so closely together. And when we build those two pieces together, we can create that connection with ourselves, to be happier, to have more positivity, to be more hopeful, to believe that there is a solution to any problem that comes along, that nothing is insurmountable, and that we can nurture ourselves and take back some of the control. Everything that you put in your body matters. It's either health building or health depleting. And this is why it's so important to be educated on it and aware. So I know you want to choose health building, and I just want to end by saying that it's never too late to get started. You can start by just drinking some more water, getting rid of the soda, and then just build off of things from there. And again, find someone like a cancer coach to work with who can help you navigate food. Because food is our friend, and it's going to help us to feel control, to build our health, and to help us move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So informative. It's funny because just recently, just yesterday, in fact, I was at a play with my son, and he got a soda, and I took one sip of it, and I couldn't believe how sweet it was. I never have soda. Said there's 39 grams of sugar in there, Dad. I said I think I had one whole gram in that sip. But yeah, it's true. I hear it over and over and over again about cancer patients are told to eat whatever they want. They eat ice cream, they're told, to bulk up and after losing weight, and it's incredible. Your mic is muted.
And I thought something that was interesting that Kathryn pointed out was that brat diet, the bananas, the rice, applesauce, and bread, or toast. What I also find, we're using this for all the children, sick kids in Toronto, and because they're often very nauseated and very sick.
Oh, goodness.
And so it is key in for young children, and so we use that, and we also use pineapple because the bromiums in the pineapple are really healthy as well, and of course, and also have that bulk. So we put brat plus P, which is pineapple, and it's crushed pineapple or pineapple tidbits. And I just thought I'd add that little extra piece to augment what Kathryn is saying, because it's so rich in everything she said, from talking about the sugars to fats and oils. I just love the fact, Kathryn, that you were able to really capitalize on the whole foods and what we should be eating and what we can eat. It's that mindset. What is the best thing for me? What's the best for my immune system? What's best for my body, mind, and spirit? And the fact that you brought this all in is so wonderful. And then tied it in with getting the cancer coach in the end and making a difference. It's okay to make change and start now. It's never too late.
Yeah, that whole mindset of I can't have versus
my screen is freezing. I'm not hearing everything.
Yeah, you keep going in and out a little bit, but the presentation was good overall. It didn't have
Lovely.
Sometimes your video went out a couple times.
Yeah,
But what I can't have versus what I can have, that mindset, I think that's great. That should be used everywhere in life.
And,
so I got a question. When you're talking about juicing, excuse me, is there a type of juicer that is better than another type of juicer? I've heard that the centrifuge type of juicers heat up the enzymes too much, and they kind of ruin the enzymes, and you might want a masticating type of juicer.
Yes. Masticating juicer.
Yeah.
Yeah, not an oscillating, but a masticating. Yeah.
Right. Which just means it crushes it instead of spins it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
How-
oxygenate. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
the maple syrup, that was kind of a mind blower.
yeah, and it's healthy.
Yeah. And you guys have the best up there, right?
We do. So does Northern Maine now in New York. Don't want to discredit the wonderful forests we have. But most certainly, yes, the Canadian maple syrup. If you want some, just let me know and I'll ship some for you.
I'll take you up on that.
Okay,
and
Carl.
molasses, it's kind of surprising that it's just natural sweeteners, molasses, dates, and the maple syrup. I was surprised.
Well, the sweet stuff, the sugar, there's a difference between sugars, refined sugar and natural sugar.
Mm-hmm.
We need that sugar as a form of energy. Our mitochondria needs that sugar to create an energy. So when we get sugar, refined sugar, that works completely opposite. But that doesn't mean that people have to jump in and get tons of like maple syrup or honey or anything. Everything has to be in limitation, especially when it comes to cancer. So the latest researchers have shown that not sugar that feeds cancer, it's actually the glutamine that feeds cancer.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, what sugar is like. The study showed that there's T cells inside of the cancer cell that is get sugar in to get the energy. Mitochondria has to get that energy to destroy cancer cells. So that's why when they do the PET scan, it shows like it lights up, and they say like, oh, it's sugar lights up because they give like glucose with iodine like infusion for PET scan, and they say it lights up that sugar it fits the cancer, but it's not as much sugar as it's like a glutamine that fits the cancer cell. So, and glutamine comes from poor digestive system. So there is a connection, to make a lot of diseases does start in digestive system. That's why building a strong digestive system is so important.
And can I also mention that when Kathryn mentions honey, I know she's talking about unpasteurized, not pasteurized.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raw honey.
And that's really important because the moment you process something, it no longer becomes healthy for you. Correct?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good. But,
you're ready.
One thing Kathryn did emphasize, though, was that how important fats are in our diet, and healthy fats, because it says those healthy fats are needed for the absorption of the vitamins. Mm-hmm. And we often forget that something like that is important. We need healthy fats.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk has been around the being vegan or vegetarian during cancer, but I think that's such a wrong approach because we do need animal fat to be able to detox our body from toxins. Because animal fat, the only animal food gives us source of big vitamins and source of choline. Without those two, our liver won't be able to create an enzymes that detox our body. So there's such a misconception of when it comes of eating animal protein or not to eat animal protein. So those are other like misconception when it comes to dieting. A lot of people tend to go on vegetarian or vegan diet, and actually it's hurting them more down the road.
Kathryn, do we have you back on again?
My internet is terrible tonight.
So
Can you hear me?
That was mentioned was leveling, keeping your sugars, maintaining a certain level so it doesn't spike, and people probably don't know what that looks like, but you can almost talk to anybody about when they're at work and then they're on the run, or they eat a quick lunch like a sandwich or a hoagie or something that's very, very simple carbohydrate intensive, then around 2 o'clock they feel like putting their head on their desk and taking a nap. That's because your sugar spiked and you came back down. I think I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of accidents happened at that time. Yeah. Look that up, but people get really, really sleepy shortly after eating high carbohydrates.
But the problem there too. The problem there too is like that excessive use of insulin over and over and over gets to the point of insulin resistance in the body. And then insulin gets stored in the adipose, in the fat, and then, all of these things, it's like creates this chain reaction in the body. And like you said, people don't realize that grabbing a sub sandwich or something is not the healthiest choice, or a chocolate bar. You want to be maintaining that level of consistency in the blood sugar, because our pancreas can only take so much, our liver can only store so much, our muscles can only store so much, and then it just starts to store insulin in different places in the body that it shouldn't be going.
Is it true then that fibers slow down the absorption of sugar and can help level out your sugar uptake?
Yeah. The main diet is fat, fiber, and protein, basically. The carbohydrates are not part of the diet. We get carbohydrates from, like, fruits. It's a great source of carbohydrates. But the carbohydrates always has to be separate from the protein diet. When they come together in the diet, that's when the glycation process starts, and then the body releases that, end glycation, like a product that causes our body to release the cells to create the insulin resistance. So that's another form of diet. Like when the doctors say, my doctor told me the same thing, there's no restriction for you. The diet is not going to make any difference if you change it or not, which was a big mistake for her to tell me something like that. But gratefully, I was a person who digged into it, who learned about it. But there's 99% of people, they just follow what the doctor said,
Yeah.
And Carl, something that we should talk about is when it comes to juicing, people have the impression that you juice only fruit. And you juice fruit and vegetables. It is so nice to put in when you're. I often will do apples and peaches and pears and oranges, whatever fruit I can get. But I also often will add Swiss chard or spinach. And things that, and even if it's a little bit bitter, it can be offset again with maple syrup and products that will naturally sweeten, unpasteurized honey, things like that. Now, what's nice about that masticating juicer is that all the fiber comes out, and people have a tendency to throw it away. Well, don't do that. Freeze it, and then when you go to make muffins, put some of that in your muffin, and it makes it so much more healthy, as well as and instead of using water and all other things in your muffins, use applesauce as unsweetened. I just take 2 or 3 apples and I cook them up and throw in some cinnamon. Never add sugar, just cinnamon into my applesauce, and put that into my muffins. Of course, then your flaxseed. We know the benefits of flaxseed and how important that is, not only for prostate cancer and all those wonderful studies they're doing at the University of Toronto, but now they're taking and migrating that, and they're going to be using it on breast cancer patients. And what's nice about that is we're not going to see the results of those studies for another year, but and they're also looking at other ways that they can look at how flaxseed is going to make a difference in our diet. So we need to look at juicing. We need to look at continue to support flaxseed. And across the board, what Kathryn said, it's about eating at home. That's when you gain control. You have to stop going to McDonald's and Wendy's. Eat at home, because then you know you're going to be eating food that's healthy and that's properly prepared. And it takes a little bit of time, but your children and your family, try to find something that will benefit all. Because I know the hardest thing was when my husband said, "Oh God, Kathryn, again." You're on a health kick again. But now he's used to having 2 or 3 meatless meals a week, and I'm slowly changing him over. You just can't stop. So it's a little bit of time, one step at a time, integrating change for you and for your family. And in the long run, we're doing them a benefit and hopefully preventing cancer for them along the line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was just reading an article that it was saying 80, so the cancer increases by 82% in people who is overweight and obese.
Yep.
82%.
Yep.
Only cancer. We're not talking about heart conditions, diabetes, and other problems. That's a big number.
Yep. I've mentioned before that there's 32 different types of cancers that come from just strictly from obesity. And they're so easily cured. It's in your control.
Yeah. I made a post on it the other day, and I just put it out on social media. 82, to me, it was a mind-blowing. 82%.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a lot.
Well, almost most diseases, chronic diseases, come from diet and lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I want to put in the advantage for people who like to go to markets and buy your fresh food in the market, like the Trails End or your country markets. This is where you'll often find like people who have mushrooms and the different kinds of mushrooms that you can bring in. There are so many wonderful benefits of mushrooms. I actually have a whole article on the benefits of mushrooms. If you'd like it, I think I might very well post it to our site. Okay, because there are so many wonderful things. And when we look at combining then mushrooms and garlic, and both of them being so healthy for us. Mm-hmm. So take a look at some of those food items and how they can augment flavors that you enjoy the whole food. And utilizing spices that are more supportive than all the processed food that you've had previously. So use whole food. Feel free to use spices. Kathryn, talking about water, like I often will use fruit infusions in my water. It can be cucumber, raspberries, lemons, limes, oranges, strawberries. There are so many really nice things that we can do, and it really does change the flavor of water, and it may make a difference in getting people to drink more. Because we should be looking at 1.5 to 2 liters or 3 liters, depending on your weight. People really need to be looking at a healthy diet. Unless you're having cardiac issues, you really should be drinking plenty of water. It's good for your liver, for cleansing, for your immune system. It's good for your kidneys, and it helps to pull all the bad stuff out. So you need water to flush your system.
Mm-hmm. The problem is that we're addicted to sugar, right? Where sugar is so marketed, and it's in everything. It's in your ketchup, it's in your mustard, it's in your mayonnaise, it's in everything. And we have this, addiction center where sugar it's just our hit. It's what we get when we eat it, and the big food companies love to put sugar in food. And
the most addictive thing is the sugar.
I'm drinking today white green tea with ginseng and unpasteurized honey. And just a bit, just to take off the bitterness of the green tea and to add a little bit more, it's nice to the palate.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting when you start taking sugar out, like when you start reducing it, your palate comes back to its natural state. Yes. So now for me, if I eat something that's very, very sweet, I just find it, I can't. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember when I first came off of sugar or reduced it, I did a low glycemic diet for a little while, and I was pretty much eliminating sugar, and it took about 2 weeks. I had headaches and everything and low energy, and then just one day, just snapped, like a switch just flicked over, and it was good. It was all gone. I felt better. Yeah, but there's a study, and God forbid you get anything that says sugar-free, because who knows what's in it, aspartame and all kinds of stuff that's really bad for you.
Yeah.
But now I forget what I was going to say about that. But there was a test. There was a study done on rats, and they gave these rats one set of rats sugar water and one set of rats regular water, and they fed the rats as normal. And the rats that had the sugar water could not control their eating. Something in the mind, because of the sugar, keeps making them want to eat more, and they would gorge themselves. And the other rats that had just regular water would stop eating when they were full. And then they switched the experiment to be sugar substitute, like aspartame. It's a sweetener, and it triggered the same thing in the brain to not be able to control the amount that they ate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing, too, where people think, oh, I can't go on a good diet because organic food is so expensive and whatnot. And when they find that they control their sugar, they find that they're eating less in general, and their bodies are more sated because it's getting what it needs.
Mm-hmm. There's a great book by Michael Moss. I was just looking for it back there, called Salt, Sugar, Fat, about how the food industry hoodwinked us, and it's that whole, Diet Coke adding in aspartame, but aspartame has its own set of problems, but one of them is that addiction. And so actually people gain, from what I have read and understand, people gain more weight drinking diet sodas than they do drinking regular sodas because they need more and more and more.
It's crazy. Crazy how addictive. If they say it's as addictive as cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's regular sugar.
Yeah. The other important thing that I would want to bring and adding into the diet is stuff like sauerkraut, fermented food, especially sauerkraut. Sauerkraut has highest level of vitamin C in it, and the most important vitamin that you would hardly find in any other place is vitamin U. Not a lot of people have heard about vitamin U, but vitamin U is actually a vitamin that heals digestive system, heals intestinal lining, and create this level of absorption nutrients better. So especially with the chemotherapy, people who decide to go for chemotherapy, they tend to, because chemotherapy kills everything that's living around, right, and destroys the microbiome. So, and because of microbiome disbalance, the candida overgrows in the body. So the cabbage, especially sauerkraut juice, is so beneficial. I remember drinking sauerkraut juice and the cabbage juice also every single day, and I felt so much better after I would drink sauerkraut juice. Like 4 ounces of sauerkraut juice, it would make me feel. I would feel like, because Kathryn probably knows, when you have a chemotherapy, your tongue covers with a white layer of candida, and that is such an uncomfortable feeling. Your mouth is constantly dry. But once I would drink the sauerkraut juice, that my mouth would get clean, and I would feel so much better. I would feel even through my throat, everything opens up, and I feel better, and breathing would get better. So that is another part, like cabbage, any cruciferous vegetables, especially sauerkraut and the cabbage, is important part of the diet for people who are going through chemotherapy. In overall everyday diet,
And it's so simple to make. I mean, that's the thing. You don't even have to buy it. You just
so simple.
get a cabbage, hollow it out, you put salt in it, submerge it in brine, and let it sit for a couple of weeks.
A week.
Good to go.
Yeah. I have 8 jars right now in my house. And actually, right now here I have a fermented garlic. I ferment garlic too.
That does it. That's good. I put in the notes, everybody, about Dr. D'Agostino. He's a physiologist at the University of Southern Florida, and he actually does a lot of TED Talks and TEDx Talks on sugar. And one of the things he looked at is under the electron microscope is the cell and then the cancer cell. And the difference in them is that the cancer cell has more insulin receptor sites versus the regular cell. And why is that? What's the role of insulin? To draw sugar into the cell. And so obviously what he was able to prove is that, cancer needs sugar. And you can hear some of his experiments and some of the things he does and what he talks to. He's marvelous. He's the assistant professor there at head of the department at the University of Southern Florida in St. Petersburg. And I really think if you really want to listen to about the role of sugar in the body and some of the stuff he's done with rats and with taking sugar in and out of their diets and how you can actually see the recession of sugar when they've removed it and how the tumors have shrunk, it's marvelous seeing his presentations. So I really recommend Dr. D'Agostino TED Talks or TEDx Talks. He's wonderful. He really is.
Saw a similar thing with Dr. Lee. I think we mentioned him here on this podcast before, but he was talking about lycopene in tomatoes, and they found that tomatoes work better than the drugs they actually use. Mm-hmm. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I said, our bodies want to heal themselves, right? We are designed to heal. We are designed for our cells to fix themselves. And again, conventional medicine was part of my process, and I'm grateful for the treatment that I got. But I think it's important for whatever decision people make to understand that our bodies want to heal. And all they need is for us to just give them what they need to support them to flush out the things that are being put in them, if that's what the route is that you're taking, or to, really enhance the cells as best as you can. It doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
Yep. And many people will tell you that anything on earth, all the food and natural products that are grown here on earth are there for the purpose of healing. And we can heal ourselves. It's right here for us to help ourselves.
I think we might want to make a little bit of a caveat, too, to say that we want to try to get organic as much as possible. And if you have the ability or the climate to have a little garden, that's even better.
Yes.
That's the reason I got into juicing, because I had such an abundance in my garden. I couldn't get rid of it. I had to drink it. Just too much food.
Yeah.
But, you teach a person to garden, and everybody in the neighborhood gets cucumbers. That's what happens.
But it's so nice to put tomatoes and cucumbers and all those nice some fruits and vegetables and spinach and all the stuff in it. It makes a great smoothie.
The taste is so much better,
put in some yogurt and honey and cinnamon. You can go nuts with having fun with juicing.
It's like I still go out to the garden for stuff for my dinners.
Nice. I put a beet in my smoothie yesterday. One small beet, like a roasted beet with dark berries and spinach and flaxseed and hemp seeds and almond milk. And it was so good. No sugar. I don't add any sweeteners anymore, but just this tiny little undertone of earthiness to it. But just the berries were enough. It was so good.
And you can get white beets, not the red beets, so your fingers don't get all knocked off.
But dark.
Yeah, the beets are very high in nitric oxide. They're rich in nitric oxide, which is good for the blood flow and everything, and for heart. So, and plus, like people who have a problem with constipation, beets are such a good thing to bring in for digestive cleansing also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I make dressings with beets. They turn out like this beautiful, like a fuchsia color. So I add garlic, I add like almond milk and beets, and and we just pour over the salad. It's so delicious.
Now we have some guests on May. Can we check to see if the guests have any questions?
Yeah.
That'll be Janet Jones, and both from the 201 area code.
Yes?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Linda. You can ask.
Linda.
I have a question for Kathryn. Kathryn, would you be willing to share a little bit more about your coffee with the adaptogen mix in it? That sounds intriguing.
I love my coffee. So I only have one coffee a day. It's just a nice, like a short. But I actually put a very pure collagen powder into it, and I put an MCT powder into it. So that's that little bit of a hit of energy. And then I buy a 10 mushroom mix from Four Sigmatic. It's a company out of California, but they're very clean products. And I just mix that in. So there's a coffee, like a mushroom mix that is in a green container that has adaptogens and all kinds of mushrooms in it. And it's very earthy. And there's another one that's in a red container, and it's a chocolate one, which is really delicious with raw cacao.
That sounds great.
Mm-hmm. And Four Sigmatic, for me, because Kathryn and I were fortunate to live near a fellow who grows his own mushrooms up here, and we can buy them from him. But for sourcing for ease, I like Four Sigmatic because I can get Rishi hot chocolate from them, and I can get a mushroom-based protein powder from them. But yeah, that coffee, honestly, if I have that coffee with the collagen and the MCT and the mushrooms in it, I don't need to have breakfast for a couple of hours, actually. It's filling, and it's delicious, and it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the bulletproof coffee that I think people who eat keto use. You could put a healthy oil in it too if you want to, but the MCT powder acts as a healthy oil.
Yes. Liquid
MCT oil.
Yeah.
And no milk, no creamer of any kind.
No. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you so very much.
It's been so nice to hear you, Kathryn.
Thank you so much.
You've been, you are for me a real advocate. I have never seen anyone who is so passionate in everything she does, not only her family, but in we're working with her cancer clients. And I really want to thank you for coming today and talking to us about the importance of healthy eating. And it will make a difference. It's about making choices.
Mm-hmm.
Choose healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's our message, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Kathryn. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. I think we'll cut it there for tonight, and we can get this one up right away on YouTube, so I'll get it out to everybody.
Excellent. Thank you, Carl.
All right,
Thank you everyone for coming tonight. We'll see you next week, and have a good week.
Okay.
Movember is starting.
I'm not growing a mustache.
Bye.
That mustache, Carl.
All right, bye.
Bye.